Album 488 is the Stooges' self-titled album, The Stooges. Released on August 5th of 1969 on Elektra Records. This quick hitter, again, comes in at 34 minutes and 34 seconds. They get in, they get out, those Stooges. This was produced by John Cale out of the USA. This was their debut album. Kyle, do you like the Stooges record?
Hey, it's Kyle, just jumping in real quick to ask, do you approve this groove? Let us know in the comments. Give us a quick thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation. There's a period of time, just thinking about the sound of this album, right? Like I kept seeing the term proto-punk thrown around with this album, how it's kind of an early example of what, kicked off the punk movement, but it was mixed with this like 60s psychedelia sound too. And I feel like there's this period of time where a sound is cool. Like it's like an authentic, like real new sound. But then at some point, eventually that sound becomes popular enough that it kind of becomes a caricature. The sound becomes a caricature, and it's not that sound anymore. It's people trying to sound like that sound. And this album, the Stooges album, is very much in the cool period of this sound. And like I really got a lot. I'm not a big punk fan. I'm not a big, like, especially the more straightforward punk stuff, the hardcore stuff, that sort of thing, the three chords over and over. Not a big fan of it, but this, I liked the influence of psychedelia in it. It had kind of like that anti-authority, rule-breaking sort of punk attitude. And even though it was kind of repetitive at a lot of places, I thought the lead guitar brought a lot to it that added to it, made it interesting again. The one thing that I went back and forth. So this is one that I listened to again a few months ago when I first listened through this list, and I went back and listened to it this week, and I had the same thoughts, but the direction that those thoughts took me were kind of different the two times that I listened to it. That has to do with like the cohesiveness of the album, because there are two songs on this album that just absolutely don't belong on this album.
Can't wait to hear which ones, because oh god. Okay, go ahead.
So the first few songs are, it's that punk sound, that early punk sound. It's it's fast, it's fuzzy and distorted, and it's straightforward, and it's early punk. And then you get to We Will Fall, which is 10 minutes long. It's a 10-minute long song on a 30-some minute album. It's the end of side A, which like that they're sending a message. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it's a third of the entire, nearly a third of the entire length of this whole album, and it's awesome. It's it's atmospheric, and it's this vibey psychedelic thing, and I really got into it. And then the song Anne, is it the last song? It's towards the end. If it's not the last song, it's towards the end. The song Anne,
track 6 of 8. Yep.
Yeah. It's not nearly as long, but it is more of, it's just different. It's this like haunting, not creepy, but haunting. And there's just a lot of like wah and flange on the guitar, and it's a whole lot less of the fuzzy distortion. And those two songs made this album for me, but they aren't what this album is. Like, if this album was a bunch of songs like that, I probably would have given this like a really high score. As it is, as a whole, I still liked it. I still enjoyed this album, but those two songs, it threw me the first time I listened to it, and it threw me the second time I listened to it.
But threw you in a positive way.
In a confused way.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Positive because yeah, I liked those songs. Those were my two favorite songs on the album, but confused because they really just didn't fit with the rest of the album to me. I didn't feel the fit for those songs.
Okay, so that's interesting. Like you, track two, "I Want to Be Your Dog" was the one that I had heard before, and I think it's an interesting commentary on the Stooges. Like I said before, I grew up listening to a lot of classic rock radio, and the Stooges were not on it. Like they just weren't, um, which I just think is interesting. So to your point about the psychedelia, originally the band was called the Psychedelic Stooges, so that tracks a little bit. Um, I know that they got a lot of they pull influences left and right. I mean they referenced Johnny Cash
Yeah.
on a couple of their songs. There's a couple of, I mean, pulled straight from, hey, we heard this, Jimi Hendrix, we heard this, we liked this, we kept it. You know, those sorts of things. Like you, those songs were cool. I liked them. Got it. Anne was my favorite song on this album.
Yeah.
And I think for the same reason. Again, my first spin of this one was on Christmas Eve, and I was doing some last minute shopping. Christmas, maybe the 23rd, whatever. I'm a good husband. Anyways, I listened to it, and it's going along, and then Anne comes on, and I was like, what is this? His vocals were definitely in that psychedelic register, and then I loved that it sped up at the end, and then that guitar just is, like you said, fuzzy and unrecognizable and just noisy.
Mm-hmm.
I played that today. We went sledding, and my oldest daughter was in the back, and she's interested in this project and just think it's cool that we're having videos and podcasts and shit. But
Yeah.
so I played it for her, and she's also firmly in an era of liking to watch like The Masked Singer, and she loves musicals and all that stuff. So she's trying to immerse herself in this music world, which is fun. Her notes for this were, he sounds pitchy. He's not a great singer, and I was like, nailed it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's not the strength, and I think 50 years later, right, that's still not the strength. It's this album's about attitude and noise and just sound, right? That's what it's going for. So to your point, that's why I think Anne really stuck out to me. It's not like a beautiful song. It's just different, and I really liked it. Um, yeah, No Fun. No Fun is a song that Jack White referenced in a video. He did an interview, kind of, he's becoming or is one of those connoisseurs of music in the same way that John Baptiste is from Stay Human. Just he's got such an album of music in his head and full of references, and he can call on almost anything and play almost anything, right? So the interview was asking him about the evolution of blues into rock, and he was playing that classic blues that we're going to talk about some later a little bit, and then like effortlessly he just goes like, oh, and then obviously from there you get the Stooges, and he just starts playing No Fun, and you're like, whoa, yes, wow, how did you do that? It's like, in my mind the visual I got was like like when you're watching a stage production and the lighting just changes, right? You're still seeing the exact same thing, but the lighting changes and it's just a different mood, and then you're just surprised by it. Like, whoa, that was fast. Like, how did that happen? So it was really cool to listen to him talk about that. I liked it. So you gave this one a 3, you said?
Yeah, I gave it a 3. So a lot of these, as I'm listening to them the second time through, I'm adjusting my scores, but I went with a 3,
Yeah.
almost for different reasons, but still ended up at the same spot.
Yeah, I'd give this a 3, maybe a 3.5, because I think I will come back to Anne. I do like the song No Fun. Not right after Anne. It I don't know if you've ever had this experience where and I've definitely noticed on some albums that, there's the first single, and then naturally the second single usually is the track right after the first one, because that's the one that it's like the lead in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the first single is the lead in to the second one, and that just becomes it. So I really liked Not Right, which is the 7th song, just because I heard it the second most. I've listened to Anne probably a dozen times in the last week. I just like, it's just stuck with me, and I was like, yeah, I want to hear it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked it. I'd give this one probably 3.5, leaning towards a 4 actually, which again really surprised me. Like at the start of this, I really thought like I wasn't gonna like this one, but I dug it. So that's the Stooges, self-titled The Stooges.
Hey, thanks for watching. We'd love to know what you think of this album, so let us know in the comments. Do you approve this groove? And as always, a quick thumbs up helps a lot. Subscribe so you can see all 500 albums, and we'll see you on the next record.